Guys, Pastor Bob's message. Oh, let me back up just a little bit. My brother contacted me this morning and said, "Hey, can you take tonight's service? I'm not going to be here." I said, "Absolutely." And I said, "Absolutely." And I go, "I got nothing." I was preparing for an easygoing weekend. I was like, man, I don't have to worry about communion. I mean, I not to worry about it. Don't get me wrong, but it's, making sure everything's prepared, making sure. I mean, Arcola does a wonderful job. Again, thank you, Arcola, for all the stuff you do. But I was like, man, we're gonna have some soup today. We're gonna have chili today. We're gonna have I'm just gonna eat and go home and take a nap. It's gonna be a great day. And then he's like, "Hey, you got tonight's message." I said, "Oh, okay. Help me, Lord, because I got nothing." But I tell you, Pastor Bob's message today, man, it's so good. And when he's sitting there talking to me this morning, he's like, "Oh, this is what I'm going to say." And I'm like, "Oh, that's so good." And he's like, I don't know." I'm telling you, Pastor. But it was so good. And guys, he says something, and I don't want you to go away without hearing something that he said, because I kind of feel like it just went almost right over our heads when he said it, because it was about 3/4 of the way through, and he said something, and guys, honestly, I almost missed it myself, but thankful for the Holy Spirit to pinpoint it, to grab it real quick and remind me. And I'm going to kind of elaborate on it, but give me a minute. I think he'll understand what I'm trying to say is, what would we do if God stripped away our blessings that he has done for us, that is now doing for us, and the blessings that are to come? Now he said something, and and I expanded on it, mind you, or the Holy Spirit expanded on it, let's just put it that way. But can you imagine? Can you just take a moment and imagine if God stripped away all of his blessings upon you? And just imagine that for a minute. All of a sudden, just takes it out, just rips it away. Because honestly, these blessings that we have been incorporated into us, right? They have been like woven into our DNA. Can you imagine if that was just ripped away from us? What type of anxiety will we have? What type of depression will we have? What type of hopelessness and just any word that you can think of that would be so negative? What would you think that would just be stripped away, and that's what we'd be left with? That's the people out there. That's the people outside these four walls. That's what people are feeling like today. And if you need a list, I got a small list here. Not only I got my own people, my own jailers, the hopelessness that I'm seeing, but not only that, we got the COVID-19, we got racial injustice, we got ill feelings towards law enforcement, we got unemployment, we got media and the fear-mongering that comes from them, we got rioters, we got fires, we got storms, we got anxiety all over the place. People can't even drive down their road without some sort of anxiety. We got schools closed, and of course the ever-loving election that is going on right now, with every little person slandering each other left and right, putting each other down. We are believers, right? We can manage. And even sometimes we as believers have a hard time managing, right? Can you imagine that as somebody that's fully engulfed in this world, what they're feeling like right now? That blessing from God is woven in our DNA now. When we believed in Jesus, that blessing has now been woven into our DNA. But guys, I gotta admit, my question for you guys tonight is, if all of these blessings were ripped away, would you still be praising His name? Would you still be praising His name? Job's a great example of that. Huh? In the moment when our world comes crashing down, would we still be praising His name? When something unexpected, something that we were completely unprepared for, something unstoppable, something life-threatening comes our way, are we going to praise His name? The last four words are the acting components of trauma, guys. It's unexpected, unprepared, unstoppable, and life-threatening. These four words is what causes people to completely stop in their tracks of what they are doing. Have you ever experienced trauma before? Have you ever, in a car wreck, an accident that is just completely was out of nowhere, life-altering, completely unprepared for it, unexpected, unstoppable? Guys, why do you think car accidents cause so much issue for people? Is when that happens, it was just, I don't know where it came from. I don't even know what happened. I couldn't even see anything. And honestly, guys, in that moment afterwards, your brain starts trying to comprehend everything that happens, and it sits there and says, well, it almost plays against you and says, well, what could you have done differently? What should you have done, right? But this trauma fills in all over the place. It doesn't have to be a car accident. It could be doing something, just happen to do something wrong. Are you just walking down the street? Somebody robs you. Somebody breaks into your house. These things all over the place. Guys, all of us experience trauma differently. Where one person could be like, oh, that's not a big deal. But I tell you right now, you want to talk about trauma, get me on top of a roof and put a ladder about just this high off of the roof. You want to talk about, and then add in summertime where that roof is hot as can be, and then you tell your wife to grab the hose down the roof so that it cools down, and then you're like, man, I'm slipping off the roof. You want to talk about trauma? That's trauma. I just kept on adding on the trauma, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. And that happened. It was a steep roof. When we lived out in Pretty Prairie, she made me get up there and do something. I don't even know what it is anymore. All I remember is I had to get up there. And I was scarred for the rest of my life. Burning the flesh off my hands and everything else. Man. It was life-threatening. But guys, can you imagine living a life right now, taking an unbeliever life and taking that moment and just thinking how they're thinking through all these different things that are going on? I mean, just take in, for instance, COVID. Just that alone in 2020 is enough, right? Having to try to deal with all of this, how to deal with the madness, the people that are shaming you for not doing this, that, or the other, but then they're doing the same thing just on different fronts. And you don't know if you're going to give it to somebody else or they're going to give it to you. You don't know anything, and everything that you thought you knew is now gone out the window, right? It was unexpected. We were unprepared. Unstoppable, by the way. I don't care what side you elect on. It was unstoppable. It was coming over. It was already here. And is it life-threatening? Absolutely. No matter how we look at it, it's life-threatening. We already know that. It's caused people to die. Guys, it's trauma, but here's the kicker. We know where we're going, right? We know where we're going. Where some of us are like, all right, love, if it takes me, it takes me. Where some of us have smiles on our face. It doesn't bother us. There's no trauma there because we're like, well, Yeah, I win. And then some of us are like, oh, no, I don't want this. Absolutely. I got more time. I need to do X, Y, and Z. But here it is guys, the believers understand, they know that there's a better place that we're going. They know that there's a reason for what's happening. The unbelievers don't. And they scurry like ants, trying to understand. Guys, I know, I take a minute here, I know that usually a message for Sunday nights is more evangelistic, and guys, it is. This message tonight is evangelistic, but it's a different side of it. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, whatever message I have up here, if you're not saved by now, I don't know what I'm going to do that's going to make you more saved. Okay? But here it is I'm hoping something tonight when we're talking about trauma may save somebody else. I love this terminology. I'm going through this chaplaincy program, and I love how they say this. And it's going to be in my kind of my bucket of words. And I love this spiritual paramedic. I love how they say that, guys. We're not doctors, right? We're not nurses. Well, maybe some of you may be doctors or nurses. I'm just saying, in the spiritual sense, we're not doctors and nurses. What we are is paramedics. We can point the right direction. We can point to the ultimate doctor, right? And that ultimate doctor is Jesus, by the way. We may be able to help right now, but we know where the ultimate help comes from. People are suffering. They're traumatized. And I don't know if you know this, but in the middle of trauma, do you want to hear reason? Think back. Think back in the moment that you might have lost a loved one. Think back in the moment that you might have lost a kid. Think back in a moment where you were just experiencing and you were even questioning God. Think back in that moment. Could you listen to reason? Could you even listen to the famous words is, for God so loved the world that He gave His only Son. So He understands you. And you're like, well, He can give His Son, but what about mine? In the middle of trauma, guys, I'm telling you here, they don't want to hear all of the biblical knowledge you have. They don't want to hear all the scriptures you have memorized. They don't want to hear that, guys. They are hopeless. They're helpless. They're isolated. They're feeling total loss of power and control. I don't know if you have ever experienced any of those things before, guys, but I'm going to tell you right now, I have. I love being in control. Heck, I can tell you right now, any of you people ever taught your child how to drive? You start hearing, that's your imaginary brake on your side, right? A total loss of control, right? And sometimes you feel isolated in there, like nobody else sees how crazy this little child's driving right now. But guys, everyone, when people are feeling traumatized, they are isolated, they have lost complete control. Pastor Bob, I know you know all this. This is stuff in your wheelhouse, I know. What message do you have for them? What message do you have for them? You guys, you could search the scriptures. I know you can. But honestly, this is for you. This is your tool. Gives you hope, gives you strength. Awesomely, right? But what message do you have for them? Guys, when people are going through trauma, they need somebody there with them. They don't need the Bible verses. They don't need any of those things. They just need compassion. They need to feel that they're not alone. They need to feel that they're in control. Even when everything is spiraling out of control, they need to have that feeling that they're still in power somehow. It requires no money, no talent, not even good looks. So, Pastor Bob, we're in luck, by the way. It requires only two things: safety and empowerment. Safety first. It requires no gossip. When you're talking with somebody and they're divulging their whole heart to you, that doesn't give you full right to go and divulge their heart to somebody else. That's their gift. That's their gift, guys. And the moment you take it and you divulge it to somebody else, you're wrong. Safety place to welcome to cry. I love how Quit Trip always has these signs on their building, safe place. And what that means is if somebody is in danger, maybe a child, maybe it be an adult, Quit Trip is a safe place to go to find help. And they don't have like seasoned counselors there. All they have is a place to be where they can say, I need help, and they're going to get you help. But isn't that great for us? Shouldn't we not have a sign on our chest saying, safe place? That you can come here and cry. And I can tell you something, guys, when my wife lost her brother, I made a huge mistake. And I kept on telling her, why is she crying? Instead of saying, you have the right to cry, and I'm here with you, and I will be with you as you continue to cry. Sometimes that's all people need. To be trustworthy. To be trustworthy. The other thing is empowerment. Empowerment is a few different things. For one, for praying. And then reminding them who your God is. Reminding them of who their God is. You know, me and Pastor Bob were talking this morning, and it was funny is we realize as we read the Bible, we look over a lot of things, but the Bible never says, well, this is the reason why God exists. It doesn't say that. It just says God exists. Right? God is there. There's no reasoning to why God is there. He just is. So if they believe or they don't believe, it doesn't matter. He just is. And then reminding them of the power that He has given us. I saw this, and I want to give this to you. How do I say this? To never forget while we or someone else, while we are living in darkness, we believe and belong to the light. Guys, while we may be living or surrounded by darkness, we believe and we belong to the light. Albert Einstein coined this where he said that the circumference of light as it expands, the circumference of darkness expands as also. Guys, the more you know, the more you pray, the more you do, and that light expands, the more darkness is coming after you. I love that old thing is when you get up out of bed and your feet touch the ground, you want the devil to say, oh man, he's up today. Or oh man, she's up today. I probably said it wrong, but it's okay. You get the gist. Guys, as we are living in darkness right now, and I can tell you, I feel like we are living in darkness now. Even us as believers, we are living around darkness right now. We don't understand. There's truth is out the door. Hypocrisy is everywhere, and we are living in darkness. And no matter what you do or what you believe, people are out there ready to push you down, to stomp you down, to hit you down. It's a different type of environment, but honestly, it's the same that has been going on for years and years and years and years. But we do not belong to the darkness, we belong to the light. I lift my eyes toward the mountains. Where will my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to slip. Your protector will not slumber. Indeed, the protector of Israel does not slumber or sleep. The Lord protects you. The Lord is a shelter right by your side. The sun will not strike you by day or the moon by night. The Lord will protect you from all harm. He will protect your life. The Lord will protect your coming and going both now and forever. Psalm 121. Guys, I find it interesting in that TV show, Highway to Heaven, that's all the character did. He came there, he listened, kind of helped out a little bit, but was just there and even had to say the hard things, right? Had to speak some of the hard things in life. Guys, people don't need to hear how the weather is. They need to hear how good God is. They need to have somebody praying for them. Guys, I know it's out of our norm. We got a lot of time. I would like us all to come together, as we did before, in the very beginning, and pray. And if you need to be by a seat, that's cool. Place yourself there. But I want us to hold hands, and I want us to give us the opportunity for anybody to pray. And we'll just go around. There's a lot to pray for. There's a lot to pray for. So let us come together and pray.